The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I'd like to begin, as we always do, with an incredible story, but here's a disclaimer. I heard this story many years ago, and I never shared it yet. And the reason I didn't share it was because I wasn't so sure if the story is true. This past week, I heard who the story was about, and I heard the story from someone who heard it from a family member. To me, that's considered verified, authorized, and therefore I'm happy to share this unbelievable story. There's somebody who I know personally, who lived in Eretz Yisrael for many years. He was an incredible, very, very special Marbitz Torah, a tremendous disseminator of Torah, and a chashav Rosh Yeshiva, a prestigious head of a yeshiva. And he was beloved by everybody and a tremendous, diligent learner. As he got older, unfortunately, he was struck by a terrible case of dementia, and it progressed worse and worse and worse, until not only did he not remember what he learned and did he not remember about his past, he couldn't even recognize his own wife and his own children and grandchildren. And it was heartbreaking for everyone that knew this formerly vibrant, warm person. His family discovered that there was an experimental drug in England, that this experimental drug could bring a person out of their fog, give them lucidity and clarity for 8 hours, and that it was perfect for the stream of dementia that this fellow was suffering from. It was not covered, it was not prescription medication, it had possible side effects, and it was extremely expensive. But the family decided collectively that a wedding of a grandchild was coming up in a few weeks, and that they would all pool together to purchase this amazing medication that would take their father back into the real world, bring him back his memory and his recognition for just 8 hours. It was not something that one could do many times, perhaps just once, but they felt this was the right time to do it. And the family was extremely excited. They paid an astronomical amount of money for this experimental drug. They had it shipped to Israel, and the day of the wedding, just a few hours before the wedding, they gave the medication to their father and grandfather. And the results were almost instantaneous. Immediately, the cloud and the fog in his eyes dissipated. And he looked at them. And he looked at his wife and his children and his grandchildren. And they explained to him what had happened to me. He was strange, he was confused, but he got it eventually. And he realized he didn't suffer from dementia. And it was a reunion with hugs and tears. It was unbelievable. If someone didn't see this type of reunion, you haven't seen deep emotion. It was so special and so special. And then they shared with him that this may be the only opportunity for them to bring him back, and that they brought him back just a few hours before his grandchild's wedding, so that he could be there with the whole mishpacha. He could be part of the simcha. He could participate and partake. He could see all the people who had such a kesher with him, and people knew about this. So there'd be so many people coming just to see him, and that shortly after the wedding, the medicine would wear off, and sadly he'd revert back to his previous status. And all of a sudden they saw him tense up, and he became very reflective and thoughtful. And he turned to them and he said, "Listen, as much as I would love to be by the chasna and the wedding, I have less than 8 hours left in lucidity, in clarity, in real life. I can't do this." And he runs to the shelf and he grabs the Gemara Maseches Baba Metzia and he runs out of the house top speed to the Beis Medrash right near the home, and he immerses himself in the Limud HaTorah, in the learning, for the next 7+ hours. At the 8th hour, slowly but surely, the medication started wearing off. The dementia began to retake him, and sadly he reverted back to what he was previously. This story is so incredible. And I know certain people are not happy with this story, because how could you walk away from mishpacha, simcha, etc., etc., etc. But regardless of what you feel, if it was right or it was wrong, one thing we all can extrapolate from this story and we can take to our hearts, and that is that a person who has the priority of limud haTorah in their life, that is what life is. Ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu. It is our life, it is the length of our days. If they have an opportunity to have a shot at life, even chayesha, even just for a few hours, there's nothing else in the world that concerns them besides this opportunity to immerse themselves in a Gemara Baba Metzia and relish in the incredible opportunity of limud haTorah.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org